And a live stream. Can you guys hear me?
I can hear you.
Okay, you can hear me. We're about to go live right now, as you can see. So I'm gonna turn down this microphone. Yeah, wait a minute. Hold on, you guys. We're live right now, but we'll be back live as soon as Paul gets back. Oh, there he is. Hey, so welcome back to the channel, everyone.
Wait a minute, I don't have video, I just have audio.
Okay.
How do
Uh, turn your video camera on. Welcome. It should be down in the left corner. Like I said, welcome back to the channel, everyone. We are about to go live here. We got a little technical difficulty, but we'll work that out. I'm going to ask everybody to, wait a minute. Tonight we're going to be talking about gratitude in relationships and just gratitude in general. And I got some of my favorite people on here. Hold on. Well, let's get going. I think Paul can still hear us and participate until he gets his camera turned on. Let's see. Anyway, so tonight this is about gratitude in relationships and just gratitude in general. And so, like I said, I got some of my favorite people on here and some people that I know understand gratitude one way or another and that have been practicing gratitude for a while. And I think can help us with this discussion. So before we just dive into it, what is gratitude, you guys?
Oh, now I see you. Can you see me?
No, your camera's not on.
Oh, there it goes. Hold on. All right, now you see
All right,
me.
now you're here. Yeah, now you're here. So what is gratitude, you guys? What is it? What is it to you? What's your definition of it?
Thankfulness.
Thankfulness, yeah.
Appreciation, yeah.
Appreciation, yeah.
It's an attitude about well-being.
Yeah. So I looked it up and it says the quality of being thankful, readiness to show appreciation, and for and to return kindness, right? So for those of you that practice gratitude, like when did you learn about gratitude? And how did you learn about it?
I think I learned by accident. I've had experiences in my life where I found when I focus on gratitude, more gratitude comes, more of the willingness to be grateful for what I have and who's part of my life. That's where it comes from for me. Like I said, it was totally by accident. And I found out that when I am not grateful, more of that comes as well.
And when you say more of that, what do you mean?
I mean, the feeling of being disconnected and out of place and unloved is one of the big feelings that comes as a result.
Jimmy, what do you think, Jimmy, about that? How did you find out about gratitude?
So, I mean, I had a couple of near-death experiences when I first came into recovery, and I went and had a physical when I had maybe a month in treatment, and I had a white blood cell count of 45, and so they thought that I had full-blown AIDS, and they told me that I could easily get sick and die quickly, and so I started really appreciating every moment that I had to interact with my family, to it kind of brought me to the present moment. It really gave me a place from which to appreciate, and recognize that I was really fortunate to even be alive, and a sense of urgency to kind of enjoy my life. And so every day I've woken up, and I've had a couple of other, medical issues. I have leukemia, and I've far outlived my expiration date. So really every day I wake up, I start out, I have this ritual. I realized, I read in a piece of literature not too long ago that you can't spell spiritual without ritual. And so I have a daily gratitude ritual that I practice, where I get on my knees and I do some breathing exercises. And then I thank, the God of my understanding for the beating of my heart, and the breath in my lungs, and for waking me up again. And there's just a long list of people and situations and things that I express my gratitude for. And I do that, kind of formally on my knees with my head bowed in the morning. And then throughout the day, I've been fortunate to have a lot of really strange, unexplained coincidences, like I call them coincigods, that happen in my life, where people are put in my path that I'm able to connect with. And so I express my gratitude that way. And then I do these things called gratitude circles. So I go places, I go to a lot of recovery events, or I'll be someplace with my family camping or something, and we'll find a beautiful spot, and we'll all hold hands in a circle, and we express what we're most grateful for in that moment. And the energy that is passed around through that process, something about holding each other's hands and expressing what we're grateful for, kind of energizes and usually ends up crying some tears of joy and gratitude. So those are some of my, for me, it's just knowing that I'm fortunate to be alive. So that's where it starts. Every day I wake up, I'm kind of surprised, and in a good way. And so, it seems like it attracts positive things the more I kind of focus on, what's right with my life, as opposed to what's wrong with my life. So,
Jimmy, we're going to come back to that last statement that you made. Thank you guys for sharing. Now, everybody here might not feel the same way about gratitude. That's why I got a diverse group of people on. So Paul, what are your thoughts about gratitude?
Well, I just flashed back to my early childhood when I was about 5, and my parents got me my first dog. And I think I was delighted having a dog, Cocker Spaniel. Sandy, his name was. I still remember him. And I'm sure there were many other things like that I was grateful to my parents for, but that's just what I flashed on. That's what came to my mind. Pretty simple, but straightforward.
Thank you. Like, Jimmy, you made a statement right at the end that's interesting, right? Like, I came upon gratitude sort of inadvertently, right? Like, You know, you can live your whole life without being happy. You
Mm.
know, happiness is not an evolutionary imperative. You know, it doesn't have anything to do with you doing what you have to do in life. You can be miserable. In fact, human beings have a negative bias
Mm.
that has survival value. You know, is that a lion behind that bush over there? Or is that a tan bush, right? We have to remember the bad things that happen so that they don't happen again. I had to be taught how to be grateful.
Mm.
I had to be around some people that practice gratitude. And at first I didn't understand what was going on. What are you guys grateful for? Why is this important? What is this about? And over time, I learned that how important gratitude, I'm still learning how important gratitude is. And that if I want to be, if if I want to experience gratitude, I have to work for it. You know, and when I say work for it, I have to actively look for things in my life to be grateful for because there's always something going on. You know, these are the best of times and the worst of times. You guys know George M. just passed away this morning.
Oh no.
Mm.
Yeah, he just passed. And George was around me for 26 years, a
Mm.
pillar, you know, in my life. And now he's gone. And it's like, there's always stuff. And so if you're not looking for something to be grateful for, you know, you won't find it.
I
Um,
believe it really is a discipline, Gerald. It's something that you truly can find something to be grateful for in each situation if you're really looking for it. I mean, for me, in my life and especially in my recovery, I've had some tragedy. I had to my oldest son got killed in a car accident. I've had some different things happen, and there's always something positive in each situation. If somebody dies tragically and quickly, then the thing to be grateful for is that they didn't suffer for a long time. And if somebody gets sick and dies slowly, then you can be grateful that you get the opportunity to make to express your feelings, for them, to them, and to a time to prepare. So, I mean, you can focus on what's right or what's wrong with each situation. I know everything that I've been afraid of happening in my life, all the things that I've dreaded happening. Um, Most of those things have made me a better person, and really, the changes that happen, we kind of, I believe, where the events in our lives move us in the direction that we need to go, and we become who we are, not in spite of those events but in response to those events. So for me, I'm grateful for all of it. I'm grateful for the years of homelessness. I'm grateful for degradation and heartbreak and all that, because now when I wake up and I have it's gratitude in relationships. I have a wife that I trust, that I respect, and we get along well. And I have children and grandchildren and coworkers and friends and a sponsor and sponsees. I have all these relationships, and I believe that gratitude is best expressed, through like the time that we choose to spend with people. That's our most valuable currency. And so if I say that I'm grateful to my mom, I call my mom every day. You know what I mean? My mom lives in Texas. I call her, talk to her for about a half an hour a day. I tell her how much I love her and appreciate her. And so putting if I say I'm grateful in a relationship, where do I prioritize that relationship? Do I spend time, letting the people know how I feel? So.
mm, mm. So, Jimmy, you were talking about something that's kind of complicated, right? In the world of therapy, we
Mm.
call what you're talking about reframing.
Mm.
Right. So like when something happens, there's always two ways to look at it. You could look at the negative part of it, or you could try to find something positive with it. And that's a skill to be able to reframe. You're talking about a discipline. That's something that I had to learn how to do because it's not automatic. Somebody had to show me how to do that. That's why I got you guys on here so we can talk about this,
Mm.
right? Reframing.
And that requires a level of awareness about who
Yes.
you are and how we fit in the world, knowing and understanding that people are people, and as a result of being human, we make mistakes. And those mistakes can be stepping stones into greater levels of awareness. And so I like what Jimmy is saying because I've had those experiences, and I've had experiences with life-threatening illness as well. I do have a HIV diagnosis that is almost 40 years old now. But
Wow.
as you can see, I'm still present and available to be of service to that power I believe that kept me alive and and consistently has supported me in all of the things that I've participated in. I think my gratitude is best expressed in service to others. You know, as I extend myself into my recovery community and then beyond that, I experience a level of gratitude that is beyond anything that I have previously experienced in my life.
Mm.
So I am grateful for this moment. The moment is when I try to keep my focus, you know, because when I'm off in my head, either into the future or into the past, I find reasons not to be grateful. You know, I can pull up some of those past mistakes, some of the things that I did earlier in my life before I understood who I really am, and I in the future start to project all kinds of things that really never happened, you know.
Mm.
And so I get an opportunity to be in the moment, and I let people know. I give them their flowers as I've done with George M. I let him know how much I love him. You know, he shared at meetings recently, and I also shared, and he was present. And I let him know, you know, in those meetings. And so I feel complete with those relationships
Mm.
that I'm able to do that with. And George was a pillar, not only in the community, but in my life, you know, and he connected me to my sponsor some years ago. And then that sponsor passed away, and I found a new one, you know, who was able to see me from a different perspective and reflect what he saw in himself and in me, you know. And so I'm grateful for the awareness that comes through a process of looking inward and finding peace. Because if I keep focused on what's going on in the world today, the less grateful I get and the more angry and disconnected
Mm.
I feel.
Mm,
You know,
mm,
connection is one of the things that I'm most grateful for. Carried me through the HIV epidemic and also through COVID.
Mm.
So you guys are, and just jump in here, you guys, if something hits you that you want to say about this, right? But what you guys are talking about are like the psychological effects of gratitude. You guys are pointing to improved well-being as a result of being feeling more grateful or practicing gratitude, right? And you guys are talking about positive emotions as a result of being grateful. Reduce depression and anxiety. You know, these are valuable things right now because, you know, you see our society is moving in the direction of disconnecting us from each other and stealing our attention in such a way that we feel at odds and uh, in conflict with other people and not so good about ourselves. So anything that we can practice to try to bring us back to a sense of well-being and better psychological states helps us. Um, what else is it about gratitude? Like give me some more ways that you practice it.
So gratitude for me is one of the things that helps me deal with, I have chronic anxiety. I have panic attacks. I have, you know, as a result of the chronic lymphocytic leukemia, I have a lot of irregular heartbeats. And usually, you know, it feeds itself. The anxiety feeds itself, and it's triggered by a physical cue, and it continues to feed itself unless I can find a way to stop it. And I stop it when I get afraid. Like, you know, I've had a million of these irregular heartbeat episodes, and And when it happens, I use gratitude to de-escalate it. I say to myself, if this is my time, I've lived a good life. I'm grateful to have lived long enough to have made my mother proud. I've raised my children. I've had a positive impact on my community. Like there are a lot of ways that I can compare myself. You know, they say, I've heard this said that comparison is the thief of joy. I beg to differ. Comparison, when I look at some of the some of the little kids that have never had an opportunity to experience, a full life, that are fighting for their lives at every children's hospital in the world right now. And I look at the life that I've had. I have no room to be afraid. I have no room to be anything but grateful for the amazing experiences that I've got to participate in. And for me, a lot of that stuff came as a direct result of getting sick. When I got sick, I decided that I had never flown. I'd never swam in the ocean. There were so many things that I had never done because of my fear. And then when I thought that I was going to die soon, I decided, what the hell? I'm going to do all the things that I've wanted to do. So I started traveling the world. I started zip lining. I started swimming in the ocean. I flew to Hawaii a couple times. I went to Jamaica. I did all kinds of cool shit. And I also did it on credit cards, thinking that I was going to die and not have to pay off the credit card. I don't know where that fits in.
Hey, there's nothing like a near-death experience to get you to move that stuff off the back burner, is it?
Absolutely. Yeah. So it's been for me a blessing. Looking on the bright side of things, there's always something to be grateful for. I think, I've been extremely fortunate, and I believe that focusing on the positive things, the world needs people that are critical. The world needs critical thinkers. We do. In order to evoke positive changes, the world needs people that are critical, that criticize situations, that look for what's wrong with the situation, that stand up for what's wrong. And there are people that are really good at that. I'm not good at that. When I get into a critical space where I'm thinking critically about things and I'm negative and looking for what's wrong with the situation, that takes me to a place that I don't want to be in. It's hard for me to get back to a place of gratitude. So I leave the critical thinking up to my ex-wife and up to some of my, and I choose to just find out, to focus on what's right in each situation. I woke up this morning, man, my knees hurt. My kidneys are failed. I got all kinds of stuff going on. But the reality is I'm still able to climb to the top of most of the hills that I want to climb to. I'm still able to swim, and I'm still able to hug and pick up my granddaughter and my grandkids, and I'm still able to go to work every day, and I'm still able to enjoy my life. So, I always recognize that things could be so much worse. And there are people that have things so much worse that are inspiring and that are happy. And, for me, people don't, it takes someone walking through, the more adversity somebody walks through, the more inspiring it is. So, I think that everything that happens in our lives, the universe knows, how to nudge us in the directions that we need to be nudged in. So I'm grateful for all of it.
So you talked about something that's really interesting, like the comparison, right? So cancer patients that have a terminal diagnosis feel better when they're around other cancer patients that are worse off than they are. That's kind of like the reason why I go to meetings.
Yeah.
Like the downward comparison. My stuff is bad, but it ain't that bad, right? So I feel better. So you're right about the comparisons. They're not always negative. And sometimes I'm doing worse than everybody in the room. So I got to take one for the team. But, we want to be able to, that's the reason why being around other people is so important.
Yeah. I think in some aspects, at least for me, if I'm around people that are sicker than me, if I can do something to inspire them, cool. But other than that, I think it's more just my process of counting my blessings that to recognize that that's there, as opposed to being in the room with somebody that's sick or dying, because I have then my compassion will outweigh my gratitude, and I'll be more concerned with trying to comfort them in some way. But I believe that it is definitely something that we cultivate. It's gratitude is not something that most of us are that comes natural. It's a discipline, it's a practice, and for me, the more I practice it, the more positive stuff I put out into the universe, the more love and encouragement I put out there, the more I get back. And so I live a fuller, richer life as a result of all of the time that I spend with people, the love that I give them. I get the same thing in return. And so, I believe that, most of the other positive characteristics that we practice, at least for me in recovery, things like willingness and forgiveness and humility and hope and trust and faith and courage, and all of them seem to stem from gratitude. Like if I can just focus on one principle a day and I focus on gratitude, I can't be grateful and be arrogant. I can't be grateful and be, it seems to just feed all the other good things, spiritual gifts that we get. If I can focus on gratitude, there's so many beautiful things that come from that.
So if you just had one bullet in your gun, huh?
It would be
Gratitude would be the one. Yeah,
Sure.
gratitude would be the big one, huh?
Yes.
And so you're talking about the positive emotions that result from looking for gratitude. Now, growing up, right? I come up in a mentally ill family, alcoholic father, mental illness. That environment wasn't really conducive to gratitude. I didn't know at that time what I needed to be grateful. I was pissed off. I thought I was struggling, right? And I lived two lives, right? I lived my first life, and then now I got a second life. In this life, the currency is gratitude.
That's right.
In this life, in the first life, it was something else. But in this life that I got, gratitude is really important. And so that's what you guys are talking about right now, how important it is to cultivate that in one's life, right? Because we got this negative bias. I think way more negative thoughts than I think positive thoughts until I learned how to do something different. And even in Gottman's 20-year study of marriages, right? He came up with this thing that we got basically three different kinds of marriages. You got supportive, you got confrontational, and you got avoidant. Out of all of those three styles, none of them was any better off than the other. The number one thing they had to have was a 5-to-1 ratio, 5 positive experiences for every one negative experience. So in my own life, I got to have way more positivity jumping off than I got negativity, or I'm not going to be right. And gratitude, I use it strategically in that way. You said something earlier, Jimmy, about being triggered by something. Well, when something negative happens, it triggers my gratitude now because I've been taught how to do that. Oh, and I'm great. That's one thing I'm really grateful for. That leads to resilience. That leads to perseverance. I have something to, there's only a couple things you can do with a negative feeling. You can distract yourself, you can substitute a feeling, and you can calm down. That's all you can really do. So gratitude fits really well in there.
I used to live in the extremes. Let me put it that way. And so I was either bouncing back and forth from one end of the spectrum to the other. I was clinically diagnosed with depression. And what I found was that gratitude was the thing that switched me from the looking at all the things that I don't have. I guess that's the glass half empty to the glass half full by looking at all the things that are possible for me yet to do. And that list is much larger than the things that I thought I wasn't going to be able to do. And I found that many of the things I thought I wasn't going to be able to do, I have done. Like Jimmy, I've climbed mountains, and literally as well as figuratively, and I've met people around the world. I was trapped in Oakland for many years in addiction and didn't know that the world was available to me in ways that I could have never known had I not come up with I started taking action on a suggestion that somebody made when I was early in recovery, and they asked me to put together a gratitude list. And when I put that list together and I found myself becoming depressed, I could just go down that list. And before I got halfway through the list, gratitude had returned. Not only the feeling of gratitude, but the attitude of gratitude. You know, I wake up in the morning sometimes and I don't feel grateful, but I know that I have so many things around me to be grateful for. And that list and the people around me. So when I'm at meetings and I'm in one of those comparison modes, you know, I'm looking also at the people that inspire me. You know, the people that inspire me are those that have walked through situations and circumstances that I may be faced with or have been faced with, and have given me some clues on how to walk through those situations. When my mother died, I was able to walk through that experience knowing that I had so much love in the space that I was in. The thought of using crossed my mind, but I realized it was only a thought, you know, and I didn't have to pick up behind what was being suggested. I saw that look on my mother's face when I was administering the opioid that they gave me. I think it was morphine, and I saw that. I knew that look, and I felt that I was in pain, but it was emotional pain, you know, that I was experiencing, and the idea crossed my mind, and I thought, you know what? There's so much love surrounding me that I don't really need to experience other than this experience I'm having as my mother is transitioning. I was with her when she took her last breath. And I was able to do that because of my recovery. My mother saw me recover for 21 years before she passed away 5 years ago, you know. So I'm so grateful, you know, for this moment. I'm grateful to have the experience to talk about how grateful I am, you know, because the more I talk about it, it's like the universe listens to every word that we speak. And when we're consistent in that message, more of whatever it is that we're focused on comes into manifestation. And I'm really in a place today because I'm traveling the world now. I found out the world was my oyster.
You look like you're in the clouds right now.
This is a picture I took on a flight and I decided to use it as the background for my Zoom communication.
Thank you.
Hey,
Yeah.
hey, Maurice, you have an absolutely beautiful spirit and a gift for expressing your gratitude.
Yes.
Your ability to communicate your gratitude in an eloquent and dignified way is it's contagious. I'm extremely grateful to get to share this moment. Just hearing you describe that situation with your mom, I mean, man, there's no place I'd rather be right now than right here, getting to share this moment with you guys. So, man, your spirit is really, you're like, I feel like I just took just did a meditation. I'm completely relaxed and, you know, calming. You could probably hypnotize people, Maurice.
Let me get your take on this, right? How about gratitude as a means of being less material?
Mm.
Man, I'm not chasing the sack anymore.
I'm not in the rat race anymore.
Right.
That's
To be able to appreciate what you have,
right.
you know, but also to be able to see abundance.
Yes.
Right. It's not just that. I got everything that I need. Now I might want some other stuff, and that's okay. but I need to recognize that I do have some stuff already.
How about
Yeah.
the feeling of being abundant?
Mm.
You know,
Right.
I know that everything that I need is within me. I just need to uncover it.
Wow. Yeah. I mean, this is a choice that we make of how to walk through life. I had to be taught how to do this. I didn't know how to do this prior to meeting some people that showed me what it means to recover, what it means to because see, gratitude has a funny property to it. It doesn't run out. I'm used to chasing stuff
Yeah.
that runs out.
Yeah, it feeds on itself. It does. It feeds on itself, grows
Right.
exponentially. When the more you share it, the more love the more
Right.
you express to someone how grateful you are to have them in your life or to get to share an experience with them. And because it's not that common for people to really sincerely feel someone's love and appreciation, that generally they
Right.
give that back. And and sometimes it multiplies, and before you know it, you're experiencing, like for me, and there may be there's no right or wrong, I guess. I want to sometimes I'm made to feel bad about this, but I love to share experiences with people. I can be alone. It's not that I don't like my own company, but man, I really enjoy the more people I can share these moments with, these gratitude circles that we do. We travel. A few years ago, I was at a camp out and our speaker didn't show up. And so we did this gratitude circle, and now we're doing them all over the place, right? And the more people I can get to participate in it, the happier I am, the more I can share it. It's almost like the get rich quick scheme is counting your blessings, right? And then the more people you share it with, it's like the more people I see grateful and I see happy, the happier I am. You know what I mean? It's something,
Right.
especially if you feel as though you had some kind of impact on that. And it's never about stuff. If you can share something that somebody's lacking, of course, that's material that you have plenty of, then that's wonderful. But yeah, being grateful for what you have. I think especially if you struggle with the disease of addiction, a lot of times we want more and we want nicer and all that stuff. Hey, I've the cars that I've had since I've been in recovery, I had a 92 Geo Metro with a big dent in the side. And then I went and got a Yaris and drove that around for many years. You know what I mean? And just, I kind of try to make decisions that keep me humble. You know what I mean? Because based in.
You know what I was going to say. Not only do we want more, but we don't ever want anything to stop.
Right.
Like we want permanence, right? And everything is impermanent. And so I have to, this is a struggle that I have, right? Nothing lasts forever. Not my relationship with my health, not my relationship with you guys. It's at some point it's going to come to an end. Jimmy, you're talking about an urgency when you realize you only got so much time. We got that stuff that's on the back burner. I don't think we can really live until we start thinking about death.
You know what's interesting is that in that realization, I found myself living so much that it really it changed the whole direction. When I was tested, when I became positive with HIV, there wasn't a cure. There wasn't anything that they could offer, and where I had to live was always in the moment, and once I understood what was going on and I started focusing my energy on the possibilities rather than what wasn't possible, I got so busy living my life that I didn't have time to think about the issues that were coming up, and the challenges that I was facing in the moment, because with gratitude, I had the solution. I had the people in my life. I had the tools that I needed. I had the connection to a power greater than myself that was also greater than whatever the dis-ease I may have been experiencing in the moment, And I get to turn that around now, and see that with this idea of exploring my life, anytime that I can come up with an idea that increases my life, I know that everything must change. And so the greatest gifts that I'm grateful for is the ability to make change and be grateful for the change. I can be grateful for whatever the experience is and keep moving, into a more and more positive place. And everything that I need seems to show up when I need it. How wealthy is that?
We have a problem of perspective and proportion, right? How we see things and how big we make them, right? And so, like here's my question: if you were practicing gratitude, what would you be doing? I can tell you what I would be doing, but what do you think you would be doing if you weren't practicing gratitude?
I would be getting caught up in acquiring. I'm an addict, so if I wasn't using, I would probably be caught up in, the active addiction, whether it's using drugs or just getting and using and finding ways and means to get more or something different of whatever it was that I had. Gratitude, my natural state throughout most of my life was, if I had a Chinese girlfriend, I wanted a black girlfriend. If I had a black girlfriend, I wanted a redhead girlfriend. If I had a short girlfriend, I wanted a tall girlfriend. If I lived on the beach, I wanted to live in the mountains. If I lived in the mountains, I wanted to live in the city. Just always wanted something different than what I had, somewhere different. No matter if I was skinny, I wanted to be more stocky. If I was stocky, I wanted to be just always never satisfied with what I have. So, for me, gratitude is one of the keys that fills that emptiness or that spiritual void. So at this point, if I wasn't using drugs, if I was in recovery and managed to stay clean, not being grateful, I don't think an ungrateful person really does well in recovery. If I wasn't grateful, though, I'd probably be obsessed with success. I'd probably be what they call like a workaholic type deal, where I'd be constantly, trying to get more and trying to overachieve in some areas, seeking validation, seeking, something more instead of having moments of bliss and, where I'm able to actually relax and to be okay. I hope my wife doesn't ever see this, but I want to say this. I have friends that are, they worry about things in their relationships and stuff. And they're like, how come you never, your wife talks to a bunch of her ex-boyfriends on the phone and she's friends with them and you never seem to worry about it. And that's because I'm not worried about it. Worrying about things doesn't make anything better. And to tell you the truth, I trust my wife. I don't worry about it because the worst case scenario is that I would just have to have relations with other women. If she, you know what I mean? If things didn't work out, I could handle that. There's always something to be grateful for. Like I can find no matter what happens, I can find a silver lining in every cloud, right? You know what I mean? So there's not that I would ever want for something like that to happen, for my marriage to end or whatever. I love my wife, but if it ever did, I'd be fine as long as I continue to be me and I'm grateful and I'm productive and I participate in my own. I'm self-supporting through my own contributions and I live my best life. That's attractive. So you're never going to be lonely if you're living your best life, if you're seeing the world, if you're enjoying things, if you're spreading love and positivity. You're a magnet for people. You know what I mean?
Right.
So
attractive.
Yeah.
Hey, that you're talking, Jimmy, about that sense of well-being that results from gratitude, right?
Mm-hmm.
Like I'm sort of the same way in my marriage, right? I don't really worry about my wife. I trust her, she's an adult. I can't stop her from doing anything she wants to do. But because I'm grateful, one of the things she really likes about me is that quality, right? Yeah. And I get that, that leads to thriving. I've been in relationships where I've been worried about my partner, or people
Mm.
have prayed over my ass. Please don't let him come in here and steal the TV or do something crazy. They don't have to do that anymore. That's the sense of well-being. But back, right? If I wasn't using gratitude, because I have this problem right now, been doing a fair amount of meditation, and what's been coming up that's scary is how much time I spend in the here and now trying to fix stuff from there and then. Almost everything I'm trying to fix it happened a while ago. And the truth of the matter is, it's already fixed. People have made decisions. Things have changed.
Yes.
And without gratitude, I don't really see that. So now I'm spending a lot of my precious time trying to fix some shit from 20 years ago. Unaware, not in the present moment.
We had that conversation a couple of weeks ago, if you remember. But, the thing that I'm also recognizing for myself is I wouldn't be here if I had not been practicing gratitude, if I had not learned. This disease would have, and I'm talking about addiction, HIV, I also have sleep apnea and a couple of other things. But
welcome to the club.
Yeah, these things would have taken me out. That I think in extremes. And so all of that stuff, would have overwhelmed me at some point. And by the grace of God, I'm talking about grace, unmerited favor. I am still here and reasonably in my right mind. But the things that have happened to me, and through me, those are the things that I'm really grateful for today. Because as a channel, I feel like I'm a faucet, and the gratitude and love is what comes out of the faucet, and I get to sprinkle it on wherever I want. I get to move in directions that give me the ability to bless the circumstances because I have been blessed. So I'm just really in that place too of realizing that there's a balance that I have to hold, and that is what keeps me in the here and now. Because like I said, if I'm projecting into the future and I'm living in the past, I'm in my head. I'm not in the moment.
Right.
And in the moment is when I can make a change in my own life, or witness myself in balance with the circumstances. When COVID hit, I saw a lot of people panic and disconnect themselves from their life support. That's how I consider recovery, a life support, right? My therapy, I consider life support. My support groups in HIV and my men's groups in recovery and out of recovery, all are life support. I felt so comfortable during COVID because I could have my solitude and I could connect with communities via Zoom that I need to support and was supported by. I need their support and I needed also to continue to support them. And so I was that faucet, I was that conduit during that period of time, and I felt wonderful as a result.
Hey, here's something interesting that I learned, right? From having some friends that quote unquote got some terminal illnesses. I found out I got one too. It's called life. I ain't gonna survive this shit, right? So I gotta start living. I'm looking at how you guys are living, and I'm like, wait a minute. let me try to cultivate this gratitude too. Let me try to live too.
Hey, let me tell you, Gerald, in some ways, this cancer diagnosis, my wife, okay, she's a wonderful woman, but she's much more responsible. She's more focused, or at least before we got together, she was focused on acquiring things and on saving money. And so it's a blessing to have a incurable illness, life-threatening illness, because when she says she wants to save money, I'm like, we own a beautiful home. We got a little bit of money in the bank, but I don't want to save money. I want to travel the world. My life is not going to, I'm in the bonus round right now. They gave me 4 years to live.
What you say, playing with house money? You playing with house money, Jimmy?
Yeah. So now so we go, hey, it's been great. Just this year alone, we've been to Jamaica. We've been, I've gone all these camping trips. We've been to Miami twice. We're going to Maui in a couple weeks. We've been, enjoying life. Washington, D.C. We're seeing the world and enjoying our life. And that's because I can only talk her into that stuff because I tell her, I don't know how much longer I'm going to be here, baby, or be able to, to do these walks on the beach or climb these mountains. So let's do it while we can.
But that's the truth for everybody.
Yes.
I know, but in a way, you can ask Maurice. You can ask Maurice. In a way, it's a blessing to be able to say, because we have more credibility to our urgency than somebody that hasn't been diagnosed with. And the crazy thing is, I know lots of people that have had clean bills of health that were younger and in better shape that have dropped dead of natural causes that didn't see it coming. So for me, that's been a real blessing that I've been able to use that to challenge my fears and to, what I mean? It's been, and to justify my extravagance sometimes even, you know what I mean? That,
People ask me, how is it that you travel so much? And I said, I do a lot of planning.
Yeah, absolutely.
And I know what my resources are, so I know exactly how much I have available when I want to travel, and so this year I've been to Ghana, I've been to the Dominican Republic twice. I was headed back to Ghana in August, but I decided to cancel so that I could do some self-care. There's a number of things that have come up, and instead of going in pain, I've decided to take care of myself and delay that trip. But other things are available to me. I was going to go for 3 months. Now I can just go someplace for a couple of weeks and sit on the beach, so
that's right.
That's what I'm planning to do,
And we have a beautiful place. Part of the whole, so what you talk about gratitude for me, probably 11, 12 years ago, I went to New York for the first time. And as I was going on these different things at the top of the rock, the guy operating the elevator would ask me where I was from, or on all these different excursions, the people piloting the boats or whatever, he'd say, where are you from? And I'd say, I'm from the Bay Area. And they'd say, the San Francisco Bay Area? Oh my God, have you ever been to Alcatraz? Have you ever been on the Golden Gate Bridge? Have you ever been to Coit Tower? Have you ever eaten at, and have you been to the Golden Gate Park? And they start saying all these things that are in our backyard that up to that point, I'd kind of taken for granted. I was like, sure, I've been there, but not very often and not lately. And I realized, there's people in Paris, France, and Tokyo, Japan, in Rome, Italy, and London, England, that are planning their vacations to the San Francisco Bay Area right now. We have so much to appreciate here. And I took that for granted until I got somebody else's perspective. Here I am excited to be in New York, and the people that are living there are like, this place is a dump. What about where you're from? So I think that that's kind of part of what the human condition is. So often we take for granted where we are, and we look somewhere else and wish that we had that or we were there. And that's why, like even being here, this is a beautiful place to be. I go for hikes all the time. This is one of the few places in the world where you can be on in a huge inner city environment with, in Chinatown in San Francisco, and a half an hour later, you could be on top of a mountain in the Santa Cruz Mountains on a hike in the redwoods. You know what I mean? So we've got a lot to be, to appreciate, and we can have a great time being here.
Hey, so we're talking about the positive aspects of gratitude, right? And there's a lot of them. But in all fairness, I want to shift a little bit and talk about some of the problems with gratitude that we see. So we give a balanced view of gratitude to, talk about it so that people looking at this will get both sides of it. What's the downside of gratitude?
I believe that the only downside that I might be able to find to gratitude is that somebody in certain situations, it might allow someone to stay stuck in a bad situation. You know what I mean? Like if
Say more about that, Jimmy.
So for instance, if someone was, stuck in a nowhere, they had potential to do more with their life, to have a broader impact on their community, to have a good career or whatever, and they might get stuck just like maybe out of a just saying, well, I'm grateful I have a job. You know what I mean? And it might keep people maybe from going back to school or from doing things that they could invest in improving their lives or their situation. Sometimes there's always a possibility. Like I know for me, I have priorities, and my priorities have more to do with my relationships than they do with success. You guys both know my sponsor. He travels the world, and he's famous, and he's super successful, and he's rich and all this stuff. And I'm not interested or not willing to make the sacrifices necessary to achieve that level of success. You know what I mean? I'm content being where I am. So maybe one of the traps of gratitude or negative parts of gratitude is that you attain a certain level and you count your blessings, and then maybe you stay stuck at that level and you don't continue to grow because you're not willing to sacrifice the moments with my family, with my kids, my grandkids. I have a good friend, Raymond Ramos. I don't know if you guys know him, but he's somebody very special to me. He travels the world constantly, planning churches and speaking at conventions and doing all types of stuff. He lives his best life. One day I was watching him. He had just landed in Amsterdam after spending a month in Sweden, and he was getting ready to go to France. And I was watching him on Facebook thinking, damn, that guy's lucky. And about that time, my daughter came around the corner in the aisle of Lucky's with her snacks for school and excited, like with a look on her face of, can I get these, Dad? And I realized if I was in France or in Sweden or in Amsterdam, I wouldn't be right here with my family. Right. So for me, I got to stay grateful for and remind myself that for every choice that I make, there's something that I'm going to miss out on. So I think it's about balance, but there are certainly people that probably get stuck in a less than ideal situation because they're satisfied maybe with less than they should be.
So any of these ideas that we're talking about, taken to either extreme, can become a problem. So Jimmy, you bring up the fact that gratitude can be used to kind of stay stuck in a situation that might not be the best situation, right? I can be grateful. I can be in an oppressive situation. I can be in an abusive situation. And the same gratitude that'll help me in any situation can also keep me stuck in that situation if I'm not aware of what it is I'm doing. It can become a delusion, right?
It's possible. Yeah.
It's possible. Yeah, we need to talk about that. Huh?
Yeah.
Because like almost like in the United States, meditation is a radical act, right? But it's being marketed to people to help them put up with oppression and be okay with it, be at one with oppression. And really, meditation is meant to be more radical than that. So people actually change situations, right? And actually make things better, not conform to an oppressive system and be happy with it and be okay with it. Yeah, so gratitude could be used in that way. So we got to be careful. What else?
To me, that's not gratitude.
Go say more, Maurice.
Gratitude always puts me in a space where I'm interested in expanding. Maybe it's just me, but when I feel grateful, I'm open to opportunity, so it's not like, and I know things are changing, so am I going to choose to change for the best, or am I going to settle? That's what it looks like to me, you know.
Yeah.
And I'm never interested in settling. You
Mm.
know, I'm grateful for what I've got, but I'm not going to I'm not going to close the door on new opportunities, you know, and
Right.
meeting new people and having new experiences. You know, never been to Asia, but I'm getting ready to plan me a trip to Thailand and Vietnam and Cambodia. You know, I think for myself that gratitude is that motivation that pushes me
Mm.
into larger spaces of living.
It
That's
can be. It can be. That's why I want you guys to talk about what we consider the proper use of gratitude. You know, fire can cook a steak or burn your ass up, right? Gratitude can help lift you up or keep you stuck in a situation, depending on how you're using it. So yeah, I'm glad you guys are talking about this. How about gratitude used as a means of avoiding conflict? Oh, I'm so grateful for
I'm
this
sure I've done that.
situation. Yeah, I've done that before. I'm so grateful I don't have to bring up the fact that I'm not feeling good about this situation. I'm using gratitude to avoid how I'm feeling as opposed to dealing with how I'm feeling.
Yeah.
You know, I'm grateful that I today have enough self-esteem and self-worth to confront whatever situation, you know, I may be facing. I've learned to be compatible with vulnerability.
Huh.
I think that's, you know, one of the things that has really given me a sense of freedom. So I don't, yes, if I'm in situations where, you know, I need to confront an issue, you know, I'm not just sitting on the back burner today and saying, I'm so grateful that I have the ability to even experience whatever this negativity might be, that I can move on to something else. But what I really want to do is be in a position where I can confront the situation in love, if I can, you know, and share what it is that I have experienced. And if it's with an individual, let them know, you know, where I may have been harmed or believe I've been harmed, and let them then make a decision as to what they're going to do. You know, if they're not going to honor my feelings, then that gives me a choice. I can choose to move away from them, you know, or keep them at a distance. I can love them from a distance, you know, or if the relationship actually improves. I've found that many of the situations that I've been able to confront have actually strengthened the relationships that I've been part of, you know? So, and I'm comfortable in myself with whatever the decision might be. You know, I might miss them. I might.
Mm-hmm.
But at the same time, I'm not going to put myself in a situation where I'm feeling used or misused or abused, you know, any of those kinds of things that I used to just let happen. You know, I didn't have any boundaries. Today, I recognize who I am. I'm a child of God. I deserve whatever a child of God deserves.
Mm.
And if you're not willing to honor that, I'm not willing to be part of your life experience. You know,
Mm.
I'm not going to be in that movie you have playing in your mind.
Mm. Mm. So like emotional imbalance, right? So like I can use gratitude I'm only grateful. I'm not feeling anything else, right? I'm only grateful. And so this puts me in a situation because in order for me to forgive another person, I have to have my outrage first, with what I feel like they've done to me or what they've done that I don't like. If I try to forgive them before I have the outrage, it's kind of bunk. It's kind of fake, right? I get to say that I didn't like that. That hurt my feelings. I would prefer something else. Or I'm mad about this situation. I get to say that with gratitude that I can say that, right? And then I get to try to forgive you. But if I try to just jump to forgiveness, if I'm using gratitude in such a way that I'm just covering up feelings and not experiencing the full range of my feelings, that would not, in my mind, that would not be an appropriate use of gratitude.
And that would, I believe that that would be unrealistic. Like that's not even, that's not a functional way. That's not a way to function in the world, in society. You'd be able to, if the only thing that you knew how to express was gratitude, you wouldn't be able to function at work or with your family.
That's right, Jimmy. Because that's the problem that I had when I tried to do that.
Yeah.
It didn't work any better than what I was doing.
I'm very grateful, but I'm also, I think people can tell, I don't have I don't have a lot of drama in my life. I don't have people trying to take advantage of me or use me, because I do have even though I'm friendly, I don't have a hard time saying no. Just because I'm grateful doesn't mean I'm a sucker. You know what I mean? I can say no, I'm sorry, I have something else going on. I can still have priorities and healthy boundaries and be grateful too. But yeah, it's gratitude is only one ingredient in a recipe for a happy life, and it's a major ingredient, but it's not the only ingredient for sure.
And I still got to be careful with it.
Yeah,
I can't just. I got to learn how to use it.
Yeah,
like the incompetent person feels like they got it. They understand it. I don't need any help with this. But the competent person knows that there can be some pitfalls with this.
Absolutely. Hey, I'm so grateful for the ability to be corrected. And it's amazing how sometimes, so I was at a convention in Southern California. I was pretty new to recovery. And this guy that had helped write the NA basic text was the main speaker at the Saturday night meeting. And he shared how hope was the only spiritual principle that was transmittable from one human being to another. And all this, it was beautiful, all this stuff, right? And so for the next 15 years, a lot of times when I'd share at an event, I would say that, and I had seen where it said it in the basic text and everything. And so I took that as the truth and I said it. And I shared at a conference, Unity Day in the Peninsula, and this 19-year-old girl walks up to me after my share and said, "Excuse me, sir." And I said, "Yes." And she says, "Isn't love a spiritual principle?" And I said, "Why, yes, love is absolutely a spiritual principle." And she says, "I can transmit love to you." And I was like, "Well, you were absolutely right." And so it let me know that just because it's written somewhere, just because someone I respect says it with conviction, doesn't necessarily mean that my opinion on it can't be adjusted when I'm exposed to the truth. You know what I mean?
Right.
Yeah. And so I can believe in something and believe in it firmly. And if somebody, and that's really, so you look at particularly a 56-year-old white male in today's society that grew up in a racist, biker, homophobic, upbringing in a part of the state where it was just, a bunch of rough, where you hid any vulnerabilities, you had to be tough, you had to be, there are all these things. In order to survive, we've had to adapt and learn to love and accept people. Like anybody that is over 50 years old that's managed to still function in society has had to embrace a whole lot of different ideas. You know what I mean? There's, I'm grateful for that. I'm grateful that I'm not like my grandpa who went to the grave, not even allowed to visit any of the stores, gas stations, or restaurants within 50 miles of where he lived because he was such an asshole. because he never was able to make the adjustments necessary to function in a changing world. You know what I mean?
So like, here, thank you guys, man, for sharing, right? Comparison and envy, right? Society kind of pushes this notion of gratitude on us, right? And what if you don't feel grateful? You kind of feel like something's wrong with you. Everybody doesn't feel grateful. Everybody does not have to feel grateful.
No.
Feel what you feel. That's Paul. That was one of the reasons why I wanted you to come on. Just feel your damn feelings. You don't have to feel grateful. I just wanted you to be with us, right? And I'm not always grateful. Don't let me come off like I'm the poster child for gratitude. I'm not.
Yeah.
I'm human. When I'm not grateful, I gotta find one of you guys, right, to help me.
And hopefully we find each other.
Right.
We're not both ungrateful on the same in the same moment. You know what I mean?
Right. Feel what you feel.
Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah, that's the sign of a healthy damn relationship.
Yeah.
You know, you don't have to feel grateful, right? Feel what you're feeling. Talk to me about what you're feeling. I don't believe that we can even manage our emotions without turning to another person and talking about it. Social isolation will kill you. It will kill you. You don't have to have any unhealthy obligation to gratitude. If you're not feeling gratitude, you're just not feeling it. Right? It comes and goes. Sometimes I'm low on it. Sometimes I'm high on it. But just feel what you feel about it.
I think that expressing thankfulness, like I think that like as far as gratitude in relationships, that, for me, if I come home, mostly I'm the one that cooks in the family and cleans and stuff, because my wife generally works harder than I do. But when she cooks,
I'm gonna cut that part out, Jimmy. I'll cut that evidence out.
All right. But when she cooks or she does the dishes, I tell her, thank you so much. I really appreciate this. I express my gratitude when somebody does something nice. I try to notice it and I try to say thank you and let them know I appreciate it. And I think that makes them more likely to, it's reinforcing a positive behavior, right? So if I want my wife to cook once in a while or do the dishes, when she does, I say thank you and I appreciate it. And by expressing that gratitude, you're reinforcing something that. So in some ways, you could even say that gratitude might be in some ways kind of selfish, because if you know what I mean, it gets, in the end, I'm the one that benefits from it.
Right. And so you're talking about how I can use gratitude to manipulate another person, right? Which I've done, right?
Yeah.
I've done that. I'm guilty as charged.
Yeah.
Because I'm learning how to use gratitude. I don't know how to use it. It's still a very powerful force in my life. And sometimes I'm still human. I'm still flawed. I want what I want. If I see that I can chicken shit you out of something, I might try to do that.
Well, I know for me that there's a level of expectation of, because I'm so vocal about my gratitude and thankfulness with people when they do stuff, I kind of have an expectation of being treated the same way. Yeah. Right. And so I struggle with people that are critical. Like, for instance, there are some people that I love that are in my life that, might walk into a room that, I may have done the dishes, mopped the floor, wiped off the table, but I didn't get the stove clean. And instead of saying, thanks for doing the dishes and cleaning the kitchen, they'll just look at the dirty stove and point that out. And that type of stuff, you know what I mean? Because I don't do that. I point at the things that are done and say, thank you for that. And, and so I kind of expect the same treatment. And when I don't get it, Jimmy, I get a little butthurt. You know what I mean? It's Jimmy. Like, you pointed out the one thing that I didn't do. You found something wrong with, I've been home doing all this stuff thinking that you're going to be grateful for it. And instead you find something to pick apart. Right. And that's just, it takes all kinds. Luckily, all of us aren't grateful or ungrateful at once. It takes all types. I choose gratitude because it makes me feel good because I'm happier when I'm grateful. And that's, I
Right.
want to be happy. I want to live a happy life.
Yeah,
You
my
know,
wife cleans the house up every day. If I clean the bathroom up one time, I want a parade.
Amen. Yes, as well. You should get one.
Go ahead, Maurice.
you know, for me, gratitude is a principle of love. And so all of the principles of love, or principles are, you know, compassion, patience, tolerance, acceptance. Forgiveness is a big one for me,
Mhm,
you know, and when I can be in a position to recognize that the very things that I am experiencing with other people, I'm also capable of. You know, I may not actively be engaged at the moment, but I'm capable of it, you know. And so I'm in this place because I've done a lot of work on myself and found that many of the situations that I found myself in where I had resentments were about things that were part of me, you know, and what I was doing was projecting those things onto other people. You know, one of the things I'm grateful for today is the realization that when I find myself in judgment about someone else, you know, that I can turn it around and ask myself the question, where are you with this? You know, have you worked this out in your own experience? You know, and if you haven't, what are you willing to do at this point? You know, and so gratitude for me helps me to focus on those areas of myself that I need to bring healing into. You know, I have things that trigger me, you know, and when I'm triggered, you know, there's one thing that I really understand about a trigger. You know, if it wasn't in me, I couldn't be, if that button didn't exist,
right,
it couldn't be pushed.
right.
You know, and what I'm doing today, you know, is taking the power away from all of those things that I've literally wasted power on in the past, you know,
Right.
focusing on those things that other people didn't do, wouldn't do, couldn't do, didn't know that they needed to, because I never communicated with them, you know, what it is that I needed and wanted. You know, I'm so grateful today that I have an opportunity to really understand what it is that I need and want. If I don't know what I need and want, what am I doing?
Mm.
I'm creating fantasy ships, not relationships.
Mm.
If we can't discuss what it is that we're experiencing in relationships, then we don't have the opportunity to make the necessary adjustments. One thing relationships are is a compromise. You know,
Oh, you bet. You bet.
it's looking at where we are really, and then determining, you know, how we can work together and hopefully for the betterment of each of us.
Yeah.
I'm not looking for a better half. I'm already a whole. I'm looking for a whole that I can grow with. That's right.
So, God, you guys are saying a lot of stuff, right? Like, we're talking about relationships right now. Again, I'm gonna go back to Gottman, right? Gottman is a scientist up in Washington. He did a 20-year study of marriages, and he found out the one thing that you need to have a successful relationship is what he termed a positive sentiment override. That's psychological jargon for what we're talking about. Gratitude for the person that you're in a relationship with. A lot of people don't have that. Since I've been exposed to it and I'm also exposed to gratitude, I know that I need to keep that in my relationship. I need to be grateful for my wife. I need to be grateful for the people that I'm in a relationship with. I need to be grateful for that. I need to figure out a way to be grateful. I need to look for things and constantly keep my gratitude pumped up, because I can go negative in a heartbeat. That is really important, to feel grateful, because we are going to have conflicts. Me and my wife are thinking about moving right now, and thinking about moving we're in a conflict, and I got to manage myself. Like I kind of have this belief that I'm not going to get what I want. No evidence of that, but still my head says I'm not going to get what I want. Right. And so that already puts us in like where I want to compete. I want to try to win an argument. That's not going to be helpful. I just need to say what it is that I need. I need to listen. And Maurice, your point, in a democracy, you don't get what you want. You get what you can live with. And usually what you can live with is good enough for the whole group as opposed to any one person. That's the big reason why we don't have a democracy in the United States, is because the rich have figured out a way to get what they want. They bought the system. And so, yeah, in my marriage, I got a democracy. So I got to work on these principles that we're talking about. I got to use gratitude. I got to try to be a better person, or I will not be able to stay married. So anyway, Paul, where you at? Where you at with all this gratitude talk, Paul?
Well, as you know, Gerald knows that I'm in a deep depression right now, and you guys are all bouncing around in upbeat talk. I'm very downbeat. I keep thinking of this psychological study that was done years ago, where they probably had graduate student psychologists, each one following one child around, one elementary school kid, and taking two notes, either positive feedback from the world or negative feedback from the world that the kid got. And they added them all up at the end of the day and compared their data. And it was 10-1 negative. The world dishes out negativity. So I'm having trouble with not so much gratitude. I'm having trouble with happiness right now. I don't feel much. Well, what do you want me to say, Gerald? You don't want me to go into my whole story now, do you?
Well, I want you to say more about the trouble you're having with happiness, because I'm sure you're not by yourself. I think a lot of people are having that same problem or something similar.
Well, I fell in love with an impossibly unavailable woman. Unavailable in like 5 or 6 different ways. She started out as a client of mine. I was helping her with her doctoral dissertation. I'm an editor, writer, and I help people with those things, books and screenplays and doctoral dissertations and whatnot. I've never met her in person. I've known her for 4.5 years, and I fell in love with her. Because originally we spent 7 days a week, 5 hours a day on her dissertation. And I totally fell in love with her, but she's married. She's half my age. She's got 3 kids. She's a devout Catholic, and I'm an atheist. So it was impossible to begin with. And she couldn't put up with it anymore. About 2 weeks ago, dropped out. She says she needs a break. Maybe she'll come back. She can't promise more than she'll send me a happy text once in a while. She doesn't want to meet anymore. She doesn't want to talk. She doesn't want to work on anything. So I'm 2 weeks into that, and I don't feel grateful for it. So you guys are in a different world than I am right now.
And you gotta, I guess you just gotta feel what you feel, huh?
I don't have
For
much.
now.
I don't have much choice. I'm trying to get out more because COVID put me into my house even more than I already was. All my clients are online. And then COVID made it even worse. So it's me and my dog in the house. And so I just joined a therapy group a couple of weeks ago. You invited me to this. You invited me to go swimming at the beach. Other people are doing a little bit. And I'm sitting here depressed. All I wanted was a friendship. I didn't want a romance. And she was able to handle that for 4.5 or 4 years until when I turned 83 in December, I said, you know, if you add up the 6 ages of my 4 grandparents and my 2 parents and divide by 6, it comes to 83. And I just hit 83. And she said, you got to come to God or you're going to go to hell forever. That's her belief. I don't believe in heaven and hell. I don't even believe in soul.
Mm.
And I could give her everything she wanted, but I couldn't change who I am. And eventually she said, I finally persuaded her because she kept pushing me. She never pushed before. The first 4 years, she didn't push. When she started pushing, I had to push back. And finally she said, okay, you finally persuaded me. You're going to be an atheist till the day you die. And she went the other way. She said, I don't care anymore about your soul. I don't want to work on your autobiography with you anymore. I don't want to work on your screenplay with you anymore. Maybe I'll talk to you on the text once in a while. And hung up on me. So I feel abandoned. And I also, at the same time, lost my other best friend who just died. So my whole social life were these 2 women, one who just died and the other one who just abandoned me. So I'm not feeling too grateful right now, Gerald.
Yeah, those are hard feelings. Those are hard feelings to deal with. I'm
not angry. I'm just miserable.
Yeah. Yeah.
I can't blame her. I can't blame Sophie for what she did. She followed her beliefs. Even though the Pope said that Jesus doesn't care whether you believe or not. He's going to save everybody who's a good person, whether they believe or not. She won't accept that. So unless she accepts that, it dooms our friendship.
Mm. Mm. Mm.
I thought we had a miracle friendship. How could a woman who goes to mass 7 days a week and an atheist have this wonderful, miraculous friendship? It was a miracle until she started pushing.
There are other
when you try to change, I'm sorry, go ahead.
There are other miracles available. I would say expand your horizon.
Well, I've been an atheist since I was 6 years old, so I don't think that's going to change.
I
don't think he meant that though.
Yeah, no, there are other people out there that aren't concerned about your religion or lack of religion or your belief in a higher God or not. There are plenty of. We live in the San Francisco Bay Area. There are plenty of folks that You seem like an interesting person. You probably, if you get out a little more, I'm sure you could make some friends.
Well, that's what I'm just beginning to start to do. That's
yeah,
what
it takes time.
Yeah, it's just
you get to have these feelings though. You get to be miserable. You get to be miserable as long as you want to. Right? Well, I figured if we go swimming, maybe some woman will see your booming physique and start swooning over you.
Yeah,
right?
My booming physique is getting skinnier by the day as I don't eat any food.
She see you with that shirt off, she'd be ready to commit.
Well, unfortunately, I know from past experience with some women that I've grieved over in the past that it took 2 or 3 years to get over it. And I don't have 2 or 3 years at 83.
Yeah, well, I'm glad you know that. Right? Because you do get to grieve, but do you want to grieve the rest of your life?
No, I don't want to grieve 1 more hour.
Yeah.
But right now, I can't help it. It's almost chemical.
Yes, yes. But that's why I wanted you to come join us, because gratitude affects not only my psychology, but my biology as well. So it's not that you have to be grateful. We're encouraging you to use gratitude to help you through this. Right? We're encouraging you to connect with us tonight to help you through it. But you get to feel what you're feeling. But what we all have to try to be resilient too. We have to bounce back at some point.
Wouldn't the miracle be finding another atheist who is interesting and wonderful and all the things that this woman has
You know,
meant
when
to
you
me.
get to be, how old are you, Maurice?
I'll be 71 in 2 days.
All right, you're getting up there. When you're 83, there's not that many women that are interested in you.
But that doesn't mean there's no women, right?
No, it doesn't mean there's no women. But in between Sophie and the last woman I fell in love with, who was my second wife, 40 years passed.
Mhm.
I had girlfriends in between, but I wasn't in love with them the way I was with those two women.
Mhm.
I haven't got 40 years.
Hey, that's what Jimmy was just saying. We don't know how much time we got. We better get moving.
Well, I
That's
know
what we
I
were
don't
just
have,
talking about.
I don't know how much time I have, but it's not 40 years, that's for sure.
Right. That's
And it
all the
doesn't
more
have to be.
reason.
And
That's
on
all the
top
more
of
reason.
everything else, a year ago, my legs went numb. So I walk like an old man for the first time in my life.
Yeah.
And the
Yeah.
neurologist said it's only going to get worse.
Yeah.
And he also said, you're going to get it too if you live long enough, all of you.
Yeah.
It comes to
Yeah.
everybody if you
It's
live
a
long
terminal
enough.
goddamn illness life. Yeah.
That's right.
That's what we're talking about.
That's right.
So we got more in common with you than you think. We all got some shit going on. Sure. Not to minimize what you're feeling. Feel it. But she made you feel alive. She made you feel human.
Yes,
She
she
made you
did.
feel connected.
Yes, she did.
Right?
That's
And
why
that's
I
a
miss her.
wonderful thing. Yeah, that's a wonderful thing.
But that's why I miss her.
Right. But we can recreate that. We can do that. What Maurice is saying, and we have lots of different relationships that we can cultivate, that we can benefit from. We have lots of them. We don't just have one.
I hate to
There's-
keep bringing up my age, but when you get to a certain age, you don't have the energy that you had once.
That's
You don't
right.
you don't have the perspective of you're going to live forever.
That's right.
And
That's right.
so your cheerfulness and your optimism sometimes can ring hollow with me at this age.
I understand.
But that's not, I know that's not doing me any good, but don't forget, I'm only 2 weeks into this depression.
Yeah.
So I've already joined a therapy group. I'm sitting here talking to you guys, or listening mostly to you guys. I just came, before I came here, I went to a coffee shop and sat out in the sun, just to be among people, get away from my house and my dog. But the big loss is that I feel I've lost a woman I was hopelessly in love with as a friend. And ironically, I realized that if she and I ever lived together, we wouldn't last for one day. So there was a paradox there.
You bet. You might have died sooner. That's what we're talking about. Now you're talking about gratitude.
Well, I'm a very social guy, I need other people. I love other people. I don't like loneliness.
Are there any writing clubs around you?
Well, just interestingly, a friend yesterday suggested joining some book clubs.
Uh-huh.
Yeah.
And, 80% of the readers in America these days are female. So book
That's a
clubs,
good thing, right?
book clubs are going to be loaded with women.
Exactly.
You might want to take some yoga.
Well, I can't do that with my legs, but I started looking online for book clubs. Now the trouble is there's so many, I got to go through them and figure out which ones to join.
See, that's the abundance that Maurice was talking about earlier.
Expand
There's all
your
kinds of
horizon.
stuff.
Well, maybe a month from now, I'll smile like you guys.
Right. Right.
I hope so.
Just feel how you feel right now. Just get through one day at a time. Just one day at a time. We'll deal with tomorrow.
Yeah. Well,
I mean, none of us knows how much time we got. And shit, I'm not trying to talk you out of your feelings. Have your feelings.
oh, I don't want to have my feelings, Gerald. I don't like them. I don't like them at all.
Well, the whole subject of this thing was gratitude. It might help you to figure out what you're grateful for.
Well, I thought that was ironic for you to invite me to a gratitude convention when I'm feeling miserable.
Yeah, these two guys are the ringleaders too, Maurice and Jimmy. They some of the most grateful people I know.
And they've gone through more than I have. I never had AIDS. I never had leukemia.
That's what I was talking about, that comparison, right?
Right.
So we got to get up and get moving. We all got something.
I admire their spirit. I'm just not there right today.
Yeah, well, you don't have to be there today, but you got something to reference, right? I'm suggesting to everybody, be where you are, right? You don't have to be anywhere. Be where you are, right? Feel what you feel. Yeah, not what you're supposed to feel. That's that comparison and envy. You don't have to feel anything other than you're
But
feeling.
Gerald,
It's okay.
you could say to a starving man, enjoy your starvation.
Yeah, I could. But I'm also offering a way out though, too, at the same time.
And that is?
That we're talking about gratitude, how to use it. We're talking about the urgency of time. We're talking about we're sharing together.
I guess I could be grateful for the 4.5 years she gave me.
Yeah.
Yeah.
You bet. I mean, for what you guys had, you can be grateful for. Yeah. Help you figure out what's important. Help you figure out what you like in people. Yeah. You're not a lizard. You have some feelings. If my wife ever left me or ever, I want to grieve too. It's going to be horrible. I hope so, because it meant something to me. Yeah. How do you grieve? That's an important thing. We're talking about responsible suffering. How do you suffer responsibly? That's an important thing to know.
I cry a lot.
Yeah. Yeah.
And I bet you learned something from the experience that you can take into the rest of your life. At the very least, you learn that you have the capacity to love more than you have at any point in your life. Is that the truth?
That may well be the truth.
Mm.
I adored that woman. But
Good.
part of it just may be her unattainability too,
Sure.
The unavailability heightened the emotions of it.
Yeah. Maybe.
The contradictions, the paradoxes.
So we gotta close up, you guys. Man, thank you guys so much. Talking about grateful. I'm grateful to have all of you. You guys are very important people in my life. Thank you so much.
I thought you were going till 9 o'clock, you told me.
Yeah. But do you want to say anything more?
Do I?
Yeah. Anybody want to say anything more? Do we have more to say about this? Jimmy has to leave. Thanks, Jimmy.
Thank you, guys.
Thank you, Jimmy.
Maurice, why don't you say something in closing?
In closing, well, I think gratitude is one of the keys to my successful recovery. I think that, I know I have been moved to a place of awareness that allows me to see what I call the collateral beauty in every situation or circumstance. There is an opportunity to see the gifts beyond the experience that I may be having in the moment. I have a group of people in my life today that I want to carry to the grave. these are people that love me and I love them. And some of them are not what we consider to be, or I consider to be, lovable people, but they are just as important in my life as those people that I love and share love with, because they show me parts of myself that need healing. I'm grateful for their participation in my life. Those are the people that I have difficulty confronting, and issues with making an amends, for instance, you know. But I understand my freedom. I'm talking about the freedom that I get to experience to move through the world and connect with others. That's a miracle for me. You know, I was isolated, shut down, alone for most of my life. I thought I was the only one that felt this way. And I came to places and met people that actually moved me emotionally, mentally, spiritually, and I would say physically as well, into new ways of living. I'm living my best life. I'm grateful for all the things that have been given to me, and I'm grateful for all the things that have been taken away, because they all led to this very moment. This moment, being present with myself and each of you, being present with the people that I have relationships with. I understand now that the love that I'm receiving is only made possible because of the love that I have for myself. And in that light, that's the light I believe that lights the world. And it's by example that I get to do that. I used to think control over others was my greatest tool, manipulating, conning, and deceiving. And I found out that that is a misuse of power, power that I don't really have. And the greatest power is turning within and discovering my true self. That being that is capable of love and respect and capable of giving the same. Thank you, Gerald, for inviting me to be part of this wonderful evening.
Well,
It's always a wonderful time when we get together. We have wonderful celebrations.
yeah.
Just exploring ourselves and each other. You know, the circumstances that brought us together, not really pretty.
What you say, catastrophe?
That's what it looked like and felt like in the moment. But in retrospect, I can look back and say, oh, you know what? It's been the greatest gift.
Hey, grieving, right? You know, the only people that can grieve are living. You living if you can grieve. It's uncomfortable. Oh, it's terrible. But you are alive.
Yes.
I know it's terrible. It's painful. We're going to do it. We have to do it. But we are alive.
There's this guy named Mo. He was a physics professor. He was he used to run part of Google, their experimental program in Google. And his last name I can't pronounce. But he has a book that he wrote called Solve for Happy. I would recommend it.
Right on, you guys. Hey, everybody, have a good night, okay?
Thank
Even
you,
people
Joe.
out there, have a good night. All right, you guys, bye.